and he sprained his ankle. And he's got a lot of swelling on this side. Well, now we can make a horseshoe. We talked about this earlier in the semester with foam padding, felt padding. You basically cut a horseshoe. And 95% of ankle injuries are inversions, so they're always on the lateral side. If it is a medial side, you would put it on the medial side. But for the lateral side, we're going to do, you take the horseshoe, your foot, so they can see it, and that lateral malleolus, you're going to just basically cup it right there. And the purpose of this is to move all the swelling into this position right in here, so it could go back into the lymphatic system and get flushed out. So like this. Can you hold that right there too, David? Right there. So you would ask the athlete, patient to hold on to it, keep their foot in dorsiflexion as much as possible. And again, you're going to start up high. It's pretty much the same thing. Bless you. And going up the ankle and just making sure that horseshoe is in that position to stay. Up high, around. Don't look at those wrinkles.
Are you pulling tight like right there?
I am pulling snug throughout the whole thing. I'm not pulling super tight, but enough where it, not like pull on what we did for the hip, shoulder spica, more so at where you did the biceps. So again, see, that horseshoe is in there. And yeah, it just fell apart. And you would finish all the way up, okay? So we talked about RICE, rest, ice, compression, elevate. So they've got this whole thing. We could put him up on a few blankets above his heart. He's resting. You could ice over this for 20 minutes. We've got it compressed and elevated. That's the purpose of doing some ACE-RAP. Any questions, anything to add? Okay, so for right now, I want you guys to go ahead and split up with each other, start practicing these skills.